Hello again, everybody. It's Plowboy's Ghost Channel. Today I'm going to answer, not really critics, but I'm going to address some comments, sort of questions and concerns that I've got. And I can type this out, 50 times in the comment section on one video, or I can try to address it with a video, but of course, not everybody's going to see it, so we're just going to do it this way in case, and hopefully it'll help and help somebody understand where I'm coming from. One of the biggest things that I have heard concerning the Rossi 92 debacle, that's what I'm calling that deal. A little update on that. I've got a call a couple of days ago from Rossi to verify credit card payment for the new rifle, which they said they were going to do when they shipped the new gun. So I haven't seen the new gun. My dealer ain't called me and said it's there, so maybe they're going to ship that R95 real soon. The concerning the Rossi debacle and the dealing with customer service, I didn't write down any of the questions or the comments that I got, but I can pretty much sum them up into a couple of categories. One, why would you buy Rossi to start with? Well, I owned Rossi a long time ago. I can't remember when I got my first Rossi 92, but it may have been 7, 8, 9 years ago. Something like it. Hell, maybe longer than that. And I had Taurus guns before then, revolvers. And, long before I was doing the gun section of this channel. And the thing is that, in the video that I made concerning that Rossi 92 that was an obvious lemon, the receiver out of spec and everything, other than that gun, I've never had a problem with a Rossi or a Taurus product. Now, I know there's people who say they are junk. They're all junk. I got news for y'all, and you need to pay attention to this point. Every single gun that I own, every single gun that you own, is junk to somebody on the internet. Doesn't matter if they've seen it, doesn't matter if they've owned one, doesn't matter if they've held it, doesn't matter if they've touched one, doesn't matter it doesn't matter. Everything, I don't care whether it's a Colt, I don't care whether it's a Smith & Wesson or a Ruger, there are detractors for everything. So when I get people commenting, Rossi's junk, Taurus is junk, especially in a video where I'm giving them a hard time, I'm not surprised. And I kind of understand it because there's been a lot of internet parroting. And there's been people who have had problems. But there's also people that are having problems with brand new Smith & Wessons. And they're not junk. It's just they're letting stuff, just like every other company, they're letting stuff slide through that they shouldn't. Every gun manufacturer has a warranty repair department. Or a warranty department to deal with stuff like that. So if Rossi let one slip through, and that's the first one that I've had a problem with, that's one issue. I would not have made a video wearing Rossi out over them letting one gun slip through that was a lemon. Because y'all, I have paid big money for a custom gun that was supposed to be good, and it went back to them twice for repairs, and it was still a damn lemon. So any gun company can turn out a bad gun. It's how you deal with it. It's how you deal with a customer that changes my opinion, that affects my opinion, that drives and shapes my opinion about that company. Now, in that I have had more Taurus and Rossi guns than I can remember, or that I could list, and I've only had one that's had a problem. That itself would not have bothered me. What bothered me was the way Rossi handled it. And a quick recap is, they couldn't fix the gun after a long time of them having a gun and finally looking at it. They claim they replaced a lot of parts. They claim they can't fix it because the receiver's out of spec. But my only option, according to them, is not for a refund. When I gave them, gave the company they sold it to, sold their gun to, or when I gave a company that sold their gun, that was a lemon, bought in good faith, gave them cash money, gave them good money for something that was a piece of junk, that the only option I had was basically store credit. That kind of reminds me of the way things would, company, like going to the company store, back in the mine, coal mining days in Kentucky and whatnot. That don't sound right to me. But y'all, I went ahead and I try to make things as simple as possible, and sometimes I fail. Frequently I fail. I went ahead and accepted the offer to take another new Rossi. When I thought that I was going to be able to get a new Rossi 92 and this one in blue, because I hear they've had trouble with the stainless ones. I didn't know that when I bought a stainless one. They told me they weren't selling Rossi 92s anymore. So I ended up telling them to send me that that Rossi R95 Trapper in 4570, 16.5 inch, whatever. We'll see what I do with it. I don't know, but I had to pay them boot, $170 something boot. Okay. It was in how that I had to take something else of theirs that I really didn't want, and I had to pay more for it. That upset me. And it was all the time that it took, all the calls, how long it takes to get somebody on the phone when you call them, and all the back and forth, and there's still hoops being jumped through. That's what irritated me. It's not that they turned out one junk gun, because any company can turn out one substandard or junk gun. I got news for y'all. Not every damn thing I own is junk, and not everything that you own is junk. Rossi, that Marlin 1895 CBA Cowboy Action 18.5 inch 4570 that I just traded in was a Remington Marlin made in November or December of 2016, and that's all I heard. Those Remlins are junk. That gun was smooth. That gun was actually a little bit smoother running than my JM Marlin in there. And I've had a hell of a lot of JM Marlins over the last 40 years. I've had brand new ones over the last 40 years. Brand new ones back in the 80s that were good guns. Nothing wrong with them. But I haven't had one that was any better fitted or any smoother or any more accurate than that Remlin that everybody says was junk. That's what I get tired of, is all that bad mouthing. I'm giving Rossi a little bit of shit because they deserve it. The company, their policy, the way that they're dealing with that, I think is not optimum. I don't believe it's respectful. I don't believe it's right. When I get the gun, we'll see what happens. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know. But y'all, every single gun company, like I said, has a warranty department. Every one of them you can have problems with. But I tell you one I'm not having problems with right now. I sent the Ruger 480 Bisley back to, I told y'all this, back to Ruger for something that was my fault. My fault. I told them on the phone it was my fault. That this is not a warranty thing. This is just me needing you to fit a new pawl to the gun. I don't have a pawl. I need a pawl, and I need you to fit it to the gun. And whatever it costs, whatever, because I've seen their prices online, and it's pretty daggum reasonable. I couldn't get a gunsmith to even do anything within less than a year or two, and it would cost me 4, 5, 6 times what Ruger's going to cost me. So, and Ruger ain't had that gun, but let's see, they got it on the 24th or 25th of November, and they have already sent me an email telling me they got it. They sent me a shipping label on them. Even though I told them this wasn't a warranty claim, they paid for a FedEx 2-day shipping label. And I get an email. The man who was on the phone with me, the representative of Ruger, told me, well, they're probably not going to charge you for parts or anything. I said, well, if they do, if they need to, call me and let me know, and I'll give you a card number, and I'll pay you what I owe you. Because this ain't y'all's deal. This is my deal. Fair's fair, right's right. That's the way I feel about it. And I don't know if I believe in karma necessarily, but I believe you do the right thing. And at least, my grandma had a saying, someone's doing you wrong, or someone gives you an opportunity like that to do them right, and you don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to treat you, you do the right thing like God deal with them. That's between them and God. You just do the right thing, so you tell them the truth. That's what it is. I messed the gun up. This is what it needs, and I'll pay you for it. Ruger's done sent me I got an email from him earlier today, a couple hours ago, telling me that it's been sent to a technician for evaluation and repair process is done started. I may get a call here in just a minute while I'm making this video telling me I owe them $100. If I do, I'm going to cheerfully pay it. It's a lesson learned. It's $100 to teach me what I'm not going to do in the future and what I'm not going to have to go through in the future. And if it's $200, I'm going to pay it, get my gun back, and I'm going to be happy. And I'm going to take the lesson, put it in my pocket, and not make it again. No big deal. That's the way we do things. We learn from our mistakes if we're smart. I'd like to think that I am. I wonder sometimes. But y'all, everything I own is junk. I hate to hear that. Because I sure do have a lot of money in junk. But y'all, anybody who thinks for 1 second that because this is got Taurus written on it, stamped on it, that I'm going to consider this junk or that I'm ever going to let it go, this gun won't be buried with me. Like a friend of mine out in Texas is talking about he thinks he's going to have to do with his guns. And he's a good old boy, and I hope that ain't the way it has to be, and I hate that he feels that way. But I'm not going to be buried with this gun, but one of my kids, I've got 5 grown boys and 6 grandchildren as of right now, and I expect more. They're going to argue over it, or I'm going to try to keep the argument to a minimum. But whichever one of them gets this is going to be getting one heck of a carryable, powerful 41 Magnum in a 2.5 inch, basically a K to an L frame size, closer to a K frame size. And once you've polished on it, hell, the finish on that looks pretty daggum decent to me. That's a Taurus, y'all. Somebody told me it was junk. Everybody's got their preferences. Everybody's got their prejudices. And some people's prejudices are based in their own personal experience, and you can't take away from that. I can't take away from that. If you have had a Rossi that was junk, and that bothered you to the point you think all of them's junk, I disagree with you, but it's your right, and it's that's your prerogative if you feel that way. If a gun company has made you feel less than important or less than valued as a customer, the way that maybe Rossi's made me feel, and you got a problem with them and say, I'm not going to buy any more damn Rossi's. I'm not going to buy any more new Rossi's. Once this deal's done, that's my last Rossi. Unless it's a used 92 that has been proven. My last one of my boys has got my 92 16-inch Trapper, big loop Trapper, and that's a great gun. I've had that gun for a long time. I know damn well that's a good gun. Ain't nobody going to tell me that that's junk. And if I get the opportunity to own it again, I will own it again. I just won't count on Rossi customer service to do any damn thing for me. Just have to figure it out on my own. Y'all, that's another question I get. Buy American. Or a comment I get. Buy American. Why would you not buy American? Don't buy foreign junk. Because you want a Winchester 92 pattern like I do? You ain't buying one American made. Not a new one. Not even Winchester. The Jap Chester is made by Morocco. I hear they're very high quality, but they have a tang safety I don't want, and they have a rebounding hammer I don't want. So why would I buy that? They're not as close to historically correct as they could be. The Rossi was closer to historically correct. And y'all can carry on about that. Buy American, buy American. Y'all, most of y'all that say that and carrying on about that, either are fine with a generic, kind of nondescript, non-historical gun like almost every Henry model except their original 1860 that I don't care nothing about. It's very expensive. Y'all, if y'all don't care about that, then go buy the Henry. If you like the tube, comes out like a 22, like a Marlin Model 60, go buy it. The guns that I want that Henry makes, the 41 Magnums, my dealer's got 2 of them down there. I could have done traded for one or both of them, but I haven't done it because they don't have side gates. They ain't even using the King's, patent side plate that's been on them since what, 1870s? On a Winchester since 1870s? I don't want that crap. I know Henry makes a great gun. I hear that. Henry has a warranty department too, and I've had people tell me they've had problems with Henrys. It can happen to anyone, but a Henry's probably going to do somebody a lot better on customer service than what I just got done by Rossi. But Henry don't make what I want for that roll. And I may own that 41 Magnum that they make with no side gate. But they don't make a Rossi 92. A Rossi 92 is a compact. The receiver's kind of short. The gun's light and handy. What do you get, about a 6-pound, 16-inch gun before it, unloaded? My Lord, that's a perfect travel gun. Travel long gun, in my opinion. That's what I want. And that I can't buy an American-made one or one that's true to pattern from Winchester upsets me. Marlin, as good as Ruger Marlin is, and I probably will own at least one. As a matter of fact, I may own one very shortly. If I can come up with one, I may own a Ruger Marlin 1895 Trapper in 4570. The one that's just got the Skinner sight on it. I may own one of them, and I'm sure it'll be a great gun, but it doesn't fit exactly what I'm wanting the Rossi 92, the purpose that the Rossi 92 served. It's not fitting the exact spot, the exact niche in my needs, in my toolbox. I loved that Rossi 92, 16-inch, throwing in the back seat of the car or the back seat of the truck, floorboard of the truck, and going to, Kentucky or going to Florida or going to goddamn New Mexico. That was a handy little short gun, and if you need it, you grab it, turn it around in a vehicle, and put it to work. And most people aren't going to look at you like you're there to assault someone with a, antique-looking lever action. Matter of fact, most people won't pay attention to it because they don't respect it. They ain't smart enough to respect a man with a lever gun. Ruger Marlin, I can buy, some, I don't want to call them tactical stuff, but they seem to be awful preoccupied with putting suppressors on lever guns. I don't get that mess. And I ain't never buying one with a damn rail on it and all of that horse crap. But Ruger Marlin just came out, instead of coming up with the, putting out a cowboy series, octagon, traditional stuff, the awesome stuff, stuff that their company is built on, the historic replicas, the reissues. Come out with stainless 10mm. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I'd face palm, but I mess up my hat, so I don't want y'all to see my head. So anyhow, I can't get a true clone of an 1892 that's American made. Whose fault is that? So if I get one, it's probably going to be a Chiappa, and I'm going to give more for it than I want to. But y'all, and when it comes to clones, just like with the Colt single action army pattern, you can't even buy a damn Colt and call it an American gun because CZ owns Colt. So is Colt really American anymore? Some purists would say no. Some purists would say yes. I'd say what's good for one's good for another. Taurus and Rossi employs a hell of a lot of people in the United States, just like Mercedes and Polaris and all kind of foreign car companies. There's a bunch of cars, Toyotas and Mercedes that are built in Alabama, employ thousands of people in Alabama, but still, y'all consider that foreign. Had an old man over here one time that I know, standing here in my carport, giving me crap when I come out the door with a Italian revolver on, single action army clone. He said, "Is that a Colt?" I said, "No, it's a Cimarron." He said, "Oh, that's made over there, ain't it?" I said, "What do you mean, foreign made?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "So it's not an American gun you don't like?" He said, "No, I ain't got no use for that." Looked down the side, I said, "Is that Glock American made?" He looked down, he shook his head no, and said, "No." He left. If you've got a Glock, you got an H&K, you got a SIG, you got a whatever, don't give me shit about American made, telling me I should buy nothing but that. If you're driving a foreign car, if you're wearing clothes from Walmart, if you go to Walmart and got a buggy full of stuff on the weekends, if your TV is not made in the United States, don't give me crap about buying a gun that I want, a pattern of gun that I want that is not made in the United States from a foreign company. Because right now, I can buy a single action Army clone for about a fifth, or even, might even be a better, of what a Colt costs. And a Colt's not even an American company anymore. So just a little food for thought. Don't give me crap about buy American if I can't buy what I want from an American company, or if it don't work. If it's not as, I can buy 5, 6 shooters. Single action Army clones. Italians are kicking butt. So people talk crap about them Turkish 1911s too. Colt, you can't buy a Colt that's all freaking forged, with no MIM parts, no Springfield Armory, and hell, don't get me started on Springfield Armory stuff. Some of that stuff's not even U.S. made. Not just talking about 1911s. You can't buy, them Thesis 1911s are well built. And they might not be from where you want them to be from, but by God, they're well built and they work. And what can you get one of them for? $400 or $500 max, for the GI spec. Stouter built. Better tolerances usually. Stouter built and better made than a Springfield Armory or the comparable, or a $1,200 to $1,500 Colt. It's just my way of looking at it. Pride is a fault. Pride goeth before a fall for a reason. And having pride in something that it doesn't deserve the pride, to be proud of something, it has to earn it. My praise. I don't even use the word pride, but for me to praise it, it has to earn it. It's about merit. It's not about just showing up with a name or a badge or an accolade or a pedigree. It's about how good it is. And if it's good, it's worth it. And if it comes from somewhere else, then I guess we better get our shit together here. It's just how I see it. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.